sorry about that. Didn't mean to abruptly cut off the lovely background music here. And also I don't mean to abruptly play with my own levels here on the microphone. If somebody in the chat could let me know when things are, shall we say, too quiet or too loud, that would be awfully helpful. I'm using some new features today on Mr. Opera. Well, I'm always using new features, but maybe they'll work. Maybe they won't work. We'll see. So I've got some cool user suggestion, viewer suggestions. I'm always happy to get those. Ostensibly today we are reading Hints on Singing by Manuel Garcia, but last time we tried to do this, we never actually got to the book. But it like really doesn't matter. Actually, come to think about it, we can do whatever we want. So I'm gonna do, because I've been going on about this straw phonation thing. Let's forget about Hints on Singing for a second, and let's have a laugh at some really crazy shilling of these straws. Now, the more it's like, with the way that the algorithms and stuff are, if you're doing a channel like this and you start complaining about something like, people selling really expensive straws, and I just realized maybe I should straighten up a bit. Yeah, so you start getting all of these ads and search suggestions and YouTube videos offered to you that are all trying to sell you that thing that you've been complaining about. So let's look at one of the ads that I've been sent. This is Gemma Sugru, and she just happens to be really into straws, and this apparently sponsorship has nothing to do with it. Let's take a look. Come on.
The exercise that I want to share with you today is the Singing Straw. So I use Singing Straw Pro by singingstraw.com. There's an affiliate link in my description. The reason why I like this one in particular, because it's the Pro version, which gives me 3 diameters. There's a 4mm straw, which is the larger one, which I don't really use. I might maybe use it for a cool down, the larger straw. But then there is the one in the middle, which is 3mm. 3mm diameter is what's been recommended by Ingo Tite, who's kind of the big science researcher, pioneer of this straw phonation technique. But then there's also for very fancy people like myself, there's the 2mm Pro straw, which is just like extra good. And like it can get a bit, for some voices it can be a bit too much, and for me it actually can be too much in the lower part of my range, but in my upper range it just loves this level of back pressure that I get from the very thin straw, the 2mm Pro straw. So I'm going to run another part of this song on the Pro straw, and the same rules apply. You can play around with how much puff you want in the cheeks, but really, especially with the very thin one, you want very little puff.
So we're playing around with how much puff.
Oh, it's so good.
In the cheeks.
Under what circumstances, with what accuracy?
Becomes higher.
Sorry for the random random fire there. Oh. Here we are. Oh, geez. Sorry, guys. And we're back. I think. Yes. Yes, it appears that we're it appears that we're back. Let me just move myself over a little bit here. Sorry for that. Sorry for the inconvenience. I had a little camera glitch. So before we get on to some I guess before we get on to Manuel Garcia, we'll get on to some other stuff, and then we'll get on to some other stuff. But welcome back to Mr. Opera. I'm your host, Mr. Opera. And if you're here from This is Opera, then you can chat, you can make your comments, make your thoughts known in the chat over on This is Opera, and you can be like the Montagues. And then the Capulets are over on Mr. Opera, if any of them are here tonight. And they can leave their chats on that channel. But you probably shouldn't go on the same channels because there's no dueling allowed. You're not allowed to argue. Well, you can argue in the comments section, but you can't murder each other in the streets. Yeah, so this singing straw stuff is crazy. And I guess you understand the motivation. It's like, this Gemma reminds me of, it's a voice teacher version of like, how Chinese restaurants, they're all basically the same restaurant? It's like the same, it's the same food. No matter where you go, when you go to a quote-unquote Chinese restaurant, it's a template that just gets sold. And it starts to get really obvious when you see these singing straws being sold and how they're being sold and marketed and everything, that Gemma is being sold something. And then she's turning around and selling that to you. But what she's not really coming up with this stuff. She's like the Chinese restaurant. She opens a gemmasugru.com sort of franchise, and she gets like a manual, more or less. It's not really how it works, but more or less. And she does the things that it says to do, and she's got products that she can shill like this. And yeah, and it's bullshit. Luckily, like that, there is the nice thing that the kind of music she sings, I guess, is not going to be interfered with by messing around with the straw. But I think it's a lot more harmful when you're telling, like young men who are trying to beef up their sound that they need to go blow into a straw. It's the opposite of manly anything. Jeez. I'm going to step in it now. I didn't mean it that look at her. But I didn't mean it that way. Oh god. But there is basically, not okay, that's better. But, here, there was nothing manly about this. There's nothing manly in the shot. Not the diameter, the girth of the straw, right? It's a pro straw, the least manly of all straws. But, the goal is not to be manly, obviously. The goal is this Instagram, what do you call, what's the word? Not ethos. The Instagram thingy, Instagram flavor. Yeah. So it's made to appeal to people who will possibly spend $60 on a straw or whatever, how much this costs. I mean, there's a pro version. The hardest to clean version. That's why it's pro. The small diameter makes it impossible to get a brush in there. Disgusting. Okay.
So I have to be super mindful that I don't mess up the flow of air pressure as I'm moving down. So we can hear that I'm quite clunky and a little bit, yeah.
But I love the thing about the cheeks where she's like, she finds something that you can adjust that's just so freaking random and it's got nothing to do with anything. How much your cheeks are puffed up. And that's totally something like can you picture that she got paid to sit there probably many times and coach someone on how much their cheeks are puffing out while they're singing into a straw.
It's just, I'm not as smooth in my lower part of my register, and this is highlighting it to me and helping me correct it and giving me awareness for it and giving me a way through. We're going to practice this line.
The way that the straw works is, one, it gives you this crazy, what they call back pressure. That's it's not the same, but it's, let's say, similar to what's happening when you use epilaryngeal narrowing, when you narrow what I call area of interest number 3. If we're looking on my little guy here, let's see. If we're looking on pink trombone, let's make this bigger. And maybe if I can, let's see if I can make a pink trombone bigger here. 1 second, guys. So we'll interact with this here. Well, now I can't hear it. Can you guys hear that? I don't know. Can anybody hear me? I think you guys can hear this. 'Cause I can hear it. Let me see here. This is a good question. Maybe not on here. But you guys can hear it there? Watch. I think you guys can just hear it when I'm in between scenes. Alright, well that didn't work. Jeez. Yep, you can hear it? Okay, I can't hear it. So, I'm just gonna have to trust that you can hear it. Okay. So this area here, when I I can't hear what I'm doing, so I'm hoping this is working. This is area of interest number 3, where it says throat. Well, if I close it too much, it does this kind of thing. But that's one of the areas where you can change the first formant, but then also every other formant, every other resonant frequency of the vocal tract. And I forgot why I even. Oh yes. So when you narrow this area, we're really trying to get under here. Something can happen if you have, not just if you have the right amount of pressure, but especially when you do. When you match the pressure to what's going on, it basically helps your vocal folds out. So, as the vocal folds are, let's say, trying to come apart, you could think of there's a force pushing them together. And you could think of either the amount of time that they're spending together is longer, or the amount of time that they're spending close to each other is longer. And the amount that they go away from each other for every vibration, let's say, is less. When that's less, you've got less air coming out. Well, if you can hear this thing, I should probably stop it. So there we go. Sorry. So that's controlling airflow. If you're a clever singer, shall we say? That's largely, well, it's a big part of what's responsible for controlling airflow, and it's doing it in like a really simple way. And the guy who talked about that first, as far as I know, was Ingo Titsa, the guy whose picture she had, and the guy who has now got us all singing into straws. So that straw replaces that. It doesn't teach you to use it, it replaces it. Well, it teaches you, I guess, what it would be like to, in some way, to sing if it was there. But then it also creates another more complicated kind of interaction with your vocal folds, where it's bouncing energy back. It's not just back pressure. It's like bouncing waves. Think of waves going out with a certain timing and then bouncing back. And that timing, when it's got the right timing compared to the vocal folds that are also vibrating, can basically make the vibration super. It can help the vibration out. You create a non-linear, a feedback loop. So it's almost like reinforcing itself. The sound is helping the sound. It's weird. It's like a stampede of sound. So that straw is doing that. And from the point of view of your vocal folds, I guess you could say it's giving them a chance to see what it would be like to behave under those particular circumstances that the straw gives you. Now, if you then recreate some of those circumstances with your vocal tract, and that's actually suited to what you're trying to do, then great. Right? But, so for instance, she's singing a lot of stuff with her mouth pretty closed. And she's singing a lot of quiet stuff. And she's using a strategy with her resonance where she's stretching the vocal folds early and avoiding these areas of instability that would occur if she was using, shall we say, a different kind of resonance. And she's also, like, she opens her nose to make the sound easier to deal with, etc., etc. She's using all kinds of soft singing strategies, I guess. Those go, I guess, they go a little bit better with the straw that she's using, but they go just as well with, like, you know, nya nya nya, mum 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 kind of stuff. All the normal exercise. There's like zero that's special about the straw as far as training is concerned. There is research that shows that the straw has this kind of immediate effect where it's improving scores for and indicators for inflammation. So that you can do a test for vocal inflammation. You do the test, you use the straw, you do the test again, and you'll get better scores. Your voice is cleared up a little bit when you're using low pressure and not a lot of epilaryngeal narrowing, and, you know, basically talking like this, the way that Ingo Titze was in his video where he's talking about the straw. And that's, you know, that's fine, but very few people are actually trying to vocalize that way. And then the ways that they are trying to vocalize are usually, they're like stronger. And this is a therapy exercise. This is an exercise. The research on this exercise, all of the data on this exercise that shows some kind of effect has to do with using the straw for, like, therapeutic purposes. And I'm not sure any of those are longitudinal studies. Where, like, I don't think there's any studies showing that there's a long-term benefit to using a straw. If you're just a guy who keeps losing his voice, or a gal, or a guy, or a Z, or whatever, if you're losing your voice from talking, I haven't seen any longitudinal studies showing any reason to think singing straw is going to help you in the long run. It's also, if you think about what training is, just the definition of training. Well, training is applying some kind of stress and then recovery in order to get some kind of compensation, some kind of hypercompensation, so that something gets stronger. A plant, a person, an animal, whatever. Training is the application of stress. So it makes very little sense to expect something therapeutic, something that makes it easier to sing, to make you stronger at singing. It makes no sense. In order to get stronger at singing, you would have to do something theoretically that makes it harder to sing. And that would be fitness. That would be looking at fitness to, let's say, if you're making the ligaments stronger, then you're talking about fitness. There's nothing that can give you that effect other than just being able to do it. There's no knowledge, or you can't have just so much belief in yourself and confidence that you can do something that you can't do. But a singing straw is not the way to build any kind of capacity, except for the capacity for stretching the vocal folds as early as possible to raise the pitch. Essentially, that's what it teaches you to do. It makes it easier to do that, and it encourages you to do that. It also encourages you literally to do all of the things that were supposed to help us sing well, like opening the throat, relaxing extrinsic laryngeal muscles, all these things. That was the theory, that was supposed to help us. That if it felt easy, then it was right. That was the theory. And then guys like Ingo Tietze, they applied that theory literally. So he literally found things that would make you reduce all of your effort and relax all of your extrinsic laryngeal muscles. The epilarynx doesn't have to work because the straw is doing that for you. You don't have to tune the timbre because the straw is doing that for you. And you don't have to learn to coordinate things like tongue retraction and how to articulate with your mouth in a ridiculously open position, etc., etc. Because you can get like oh, thanks. I'll turn down the gain. Turn down the gain here on my mic. Thank you, and thank you very much, Daniel Formica. Is that better? Yeah. So anyway, no, Daniel Formica. So I'm honored. I've got a YouTube star in my chat. So no, now I'm getting nervous. But anyway, so let's move on here. Yep. So now, like, on to those actual external muscles.
This is one of the biggest things that is in the way of your singing voice. Yourself. As vocal coaches, our goal is to work out your vocal cords independently of these external muscles. Most of the time, these external muscles come into play when you are trying to control your voice versus teach it. The learning process.
So this is the external muscles.
Let your vocal cords struggle. They will get stronger and it will get better.
Oops. See here. Oh, and I've got some laryngoscopies coming up. Well, 5Ks, that's a lot. I got I think like under 2K, but half of those are like fake accounts from the, like, This Is Opera days, from the fight with This Is Opera, because they had like 15,000 accounts, 15,000 followers, but probably like 11,000 of those were fake, and they were doing some, I don't know, they were doing some 2010 to 2020 kind of stuff. Nobody gets away with anymore. But yeah, so I have like 20 actual viewers, and you have 5K. So anyway, well, that's that. But this so this idea of the external musculature, and I guess we should be still with the bullshit inspector background here, because Still inspecting bullshit. But it changes to my school background whenever I do some school things. So let's just change to the school thing. Okay, so I think I should get my school theme here. Like if I really slam that, and then we welcome, knowledge, fitness, heart, position, motion, attitude. And here we have my cool little supercut, lots of action. It's me inside of a rectum. Anyway, Larry. Yeah, just reading some Garcia. New school singer. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah, that's my cool time to go to school thing. Yeah, so the famous extrinsic laryngeal muscles, and this is a really weird one because and I guess we can make this no knowledge. This is knowledge. So this guy Douglas Stanley, as far as I know, was the first one to get like really literal and saying that there's these extrinsic laryngeal muscles that will ruin your voice if you use them. And that's, as far as I know, when this whole open throat feeling thing becomes like the quest for an actual open throat, like something needed to be actually open, right? So that's Douglas Stanley, and Douglas Stanley was idolizing singers like Caruso, blah blah blah. So fast forward like 100 years later, people took the literal things Douglas Stanley said, and they made a singing system. And I don't mean like they said his name. They never say his name. They took the stuff he actually says, though. They called that bel canto. And then they turned that into directions for singing contemporary music with a really kind of quiet sound. That's called speech level singing. And speech level singing is the background, it's the vocal pedagogy that's behind singing success. And singing success, geez, I'm clipping again. I've got it turned down. It must be my massive voice. Okay, how is this? You guys are pulling my leg. You guys are trying to get me to turn it down so much that nobody can hear me. I know what's going on here. Or it could be I'm just not reading my meters properly. But all right, so you guys let me know if I'm too quiet. But no one's ever told me I'm too quiet before. Well, yeah, I guess. But only at work when I'm singing. Anyway. Yeah. So, what was I even... You guys are interrupting me, and now I can't remember what I was talking about. Yeah, I'm using Craig Sirianni's method. It's the Lamonico trick for chest release. Yeah, so this singing success comes from, well, they teach speech level singing. They just brand it. But let's go back to the singing straws we saw at the beginning. It's this whole template idea. It's like a Chinese restaurant. You go to Singing Success. You take your Singing Success courses. You pay the Singing Success a bunch of money. My master gain is too high. Oh, well, it could be. You know what it is. I think I've got the volume too low here. Anyway, yeah. So what Singing Success teaches, or what speech levels singing teaches, is the literal instructions of Douglas Stanley. And those are going to work fine for singing quiet stuff. If you're intending to like sing aggressive rock music, or if you're intending to I don't know, if you're intending to do anything that's not kind of precious or kind of fake aggressive, if you're trying to do full on, shall I say, balls to the wall singing, then you can't use these methods. Who is Cipriani? I mean, you gotta show me can you send me a link? Send it to, let me see if I got, oh,
Energy extends past
sorry.
becomes higher.
Sorry, guys. So if you send something there, the real Mr. Opera at gmail.com, send clips there, and then we can watch the clips, and then I can see if I agree or disagree with what someone is saying. I can't even hear the background music. That's really interesting. So I think something weird is going on with OBS. Something weird's going on with my software, guys. So I'll just try to keep. There's the background music again. Wait. Now I can hear how loud it is. Sorry, guys. I couldn't hear it at all. It's the monitoring wasn't working on my end. So thanks. That must have sounded so horrible on your end. Sorry. So, you guys are all having a party without. So I guess, do I even need to do a live stream here, or can you guys just, you guys could just talk amongst yourselves? Okay. Anyway, I'll take this away for a second. So let's watch some more of this. Okay, we're gonna do singing in the MRI. Or shall we do... Yeah, let's do singing in the MRI. I wanted to do this too. This distension video. While we're doing school here.
Singing in the MRI.
Okay. So this is a video about some breathing stuff, but And I connected it to another one about something I wanted to talk, well, that we're talking about today. So let's see. Let's give this a try here.
Vocal tip. You're always using your diaphragm. Always. There's never a moment when you're not using your diaphragm to breathe. The diaphragm is not, when people are like, okay, sing from your diaphragm and they point down here. They are, first of all, wrong for pointing down here because the diaphragm is actually a very large sort of balloon of muscle, band of muscle that goes all the way around from the lower back, under the ribs, and up. It actually separates the abdomen from the thorax, and it has a very important function in just breathing in general. What we want to do is we want to optimize the distension of the diaphragm. So for instance, when people point down here, what they actually mean is that you should...
Wait, so he had a true... What was that? What was that he just said?
Under the ribs and up. It actually separates the abdomen from the thorax.
I mean, that's all true.
It
and that's really important because you've got this intra-abdominal pressure to manage.
A very important function in just breathing in general. So what we want to do is we want to optimize
Well,
the
it's the
distension
primary
of the
muscle of breathing, so...
So for instance, when people point down here...
Did he just say... He did.
What we want to do is we want to optimize the distension of the diaphragm. So
distension of the diaphragm? I don't think that's right. At all. Can we look this one up? Distension of the diaphragm. I think like distension of the abdomen. I think the abdomen can be distended, like when your belly sticks out, when your pelvis tips forward, and when your abdominal muscles relax when you breathe in, and I guess the lower back compresses, the back of the pelvis closes, the front of the pelvis opens, and your belly sticks out, and you got an anterior pelvic tilt and abdominal distension. But I don't think the diaphragm distends. I think he's kind of looking stuff up on the fly and then making Instagrams about how everyone's wrong about everything. Interesting. Okay.
Point down here, what they actually mean is that you should feel a pushing out, not necessarily physically pushing out, but you should feel lowering of your stomach, sort of pooch out. That we want
lowering it.
To optimize the distension of the diaphragm. Certain vocal coaches on the internet,
you cannot optimize distension of the diaphragm. There's no That's bullshit. That's just bullshit. I think he's just trying to sound like he knows some technical words or something, but distension of the diaphragm that's interesting. Okay.
You with resources that give you quick fixes, tricks, and tips.
That was bullshit. But he's right about the diaphragm being this division point that goes all the way across the body. I like to point out that osteopathy doesn't talk about just one diaphragm, but I think up to 4. The pelvic diaphragm, also called the pelvic floor, the respiratory diaphragm, which is usually just called the diaphragm, the cervical diaphragm, which includes the thyroarytenoid muscle, and then the cranial diaphragm. And those 4 diaphragms work together to control the fluid pressures of the body. for things like not falling over from, and not I guess like not pooping. No, that's other things. Your brain not exploding. I don't think it would explode, but you'd like lose consciousness if you couldn't regulate the pressure inside of your skull. So, yeah. But anyway, what I was after here is this, because I think this is typical messaging from this New York school that Douglas Stanley started. This is the relax and release thing. And I don't know, if you ask me, this whole relax and release thing is really vicious. Because in the end, when things don't work, you're probably going to be blaming them for not relaxing and releasing enough or something. And that's going to make them more nervous. And then you're going to blame them for not relaxing and releasing. So, not good.
That you might be able to do to get through a role or to learn how to sing certain notes much more easily. But in general, every type of singing that looks too hard or appears too difficult, when they're doing it, is probably not correct. The correct way of singing looks easy, sounds easy, and is relatively easy. Where singing gets hard is through stamina, and stamina comes with practice. Just like any athlete, the vocal folds and the musculature of the vocal tract is very delicate. It gets tired. You have to figure out a way to sing optimally for a very long period of time if you're doing operas, or if you're doing an entire show that looks and feels and sounds easy. If you are learning how to sing high notes and it's straining or it hurts, or if the person that you're learning from on the internet looks like that's difficult. Sure, learning how to sing correctly does take a lot of practice and a lot of work, and there is a certain level of musculature that's involved. But in general, singing should be easy.
So, let's not watch Gemma shelling straws again. So that's
the exercise that I want to share with you today
don't want to talk to you, Gemma. I had enough of your straw shelling. So yeah, that's the whole thing there. I gotta turn this. I'm making myself sick here. I turn that off. I'm still learning where all these keys are that do these things. Yeah. So this is the idea that everything should be easy, and that the effort you put in should be easy at all times. And I guess that's the thing that's competing with the idea that it's not like that. It's not like that at all. I'm in a very different camp. I think that not only is it difficult to learn singing in the first place, for different reasons, it's gonna be, whether it's shall we say, it's probably not going to be knowledge, right? But definitely your fitness and heart, or if you could think of psychology. Those are hard to maintain. They're always changing. They're never steady. They're ebbing and flowing. So it's not going to be easy. It's just not. It's funny that it's voice teachers who tend to teach this. I guess maybe there's really ace singers who find it easy to do everything, who go around teaching this idea. I don't know. I've never seen it actually lead to big accomplishments. I've only seen it lead to, I don't know, talking about how singing should be easy. Okay. Next we've got some clips. These ones I had to go and do screenshots because, YouTube actually has these labeled as age sensitive because I guess, what that looks like could be. There's labia right on the screen. So, but yeah, this is considered not appropriate for children. I guess we're penetrating someone.
And cotton, and him that plants him
This is from
is soon
viewer
forgotten.
And he didn't say what wanted to look for here. I think that someone's singing in neutral, and when you're in lower register, I've noticed it's like not as noticeable that someone is not metallic. When they sing higher, when they're in a range where you can be metallic, but people tend to sing in neutral, I feel like the difference is bigger, but it could be just from what I'm used to hearing. But anyway, so we have a bass. It was labeled like healthy bass, and so nothing particularly remarkable, I guess. I just wanted to put it up because it was something someone sent in. I guess there's some constriction in area of interest number 3 right there when he goes a bit lower. Let's see. I'm not
and
best at
him
range
that
recognition,
plants
so.
him is soon forgotten.
Okay, yeah, so he's got more constriction lower down in this area, and then
that plants him
he widens
is
it out.
soon forgotten.
He opens it up for going higher. And then if you wanted to sing a bigger sound, well, you would want to do the opposite. You would want to create a narrowing in that area that's getting wider there. Now the angle's a bit harder to see. But she's undoubtedly keeping it much wider. Oh, now we can see. So what I'd like to know is what it looks like when, and that you can hear her open quotient's kind of high. It's not the strongest soprano sound, and I want to know when it's a really big honking strong soprano sound, Birgit Nilsson kind of vocal coordination. What does the epiglottis look like? Whenever I get soprano footage, it's always this kind of singing. I want to see big honkin' singing.
Singing in the MRI.
Now next up we've got this singing in the MRI stuff. And I thought this was cool to look at. Because here essentially we've got, let's see. Let's see if it works. If I do this. All right. You guys, can you hear me? That's not the one I wanted. 1 second. I'm going to try to get so I can write on the screen here. See if this is at all active, and it is not. All right, so I don't seem to be getting my whiteboard up and working here. So unfortunately, I can't label the parts here. Which would be really handy. Now I cannot see my mouse. All right. But I can at least roll with my... Oh, there we go. At least roll with my MIDI controller here.
Singing in the MRI. Singing in the MRI.
So
Hi, my name's Tyler Ross. I'm a singer, voice teacher.
Singing in the MRI. I'm gonna put my head where these different areas of interest are, since I can't. So here's where my head is now, area of interest number 3.
How about a raspberry?
Go. And now it's, it's hopping up and down here.
Weird, right? Move out. Inside and see if we can identify some of the features of the vocal tract. Lips, tongue.
Okay, this is the part we wanted, where he actually demonstrates some. So we can't really see too well here.
Vincero, vincero, all'alba vincero.
Yeah, you can't really see.
Vincero, vincero.
From, like what we saw in the last clip included how much narrowing there is in the epilarynx. And then in this kind of footage, you don't really have that. But obviously, you get at knowledge like epilaryngeal narrowing and the effect on the sound from combinations of MRI like this, and then laryngoscopy, and then also electroglottograph. So they run an electrical signal across the vocal folds, and they check out the timing, and that tells you what the vibration is like. That's the source.
All'alba vincerò, vincerò.
Okay, so that was an interesting one. So E is always an issue. And how he's tackling it is because with E, let me get into this mode. So with E, in order to make the sound register, then in some way you need to make the first and the second formant far apart from each other. There's different ways you can lower the first formant. When people are talking, they tend to just close their mouth. So they tend to go like E, E. And this, E, E, E. This kind of shape is, shall we say, it's tuned down from the outside of the mouth. If I start to open the outside of my mouth, I get ah. Well, I'm changing other parts of the vocal tract, but as I open the mouth more, you could say it gets brighter. Something goes up. And when I want to make this E sound, when I want to make a big difference between the first and second formant, well, I'm going to try to tune things down. Another way to tune things down, other than just closing, is to make the vocal tract longer. If you wanted to split the difference, because opening the mouth more makes it louder, or potentially louder. Not automatically louder, but potentially louder. And closing the mouth lowers the first formant. Well, it lowers all the resonances of the vocal tract. So what he does to split the difference is he lengthens the vocal tract by lengthening area of interest number 1, right? But the way he does it is by moving his lips so that area of interest number 2 moves further away. Now he's lowered the first formant enough by lengthening that he doesn't have to close it so much in order to get it low. Now he's going to do what people normally do to get an E kind of sound, is he's going to raise the second formant using probably his tongue. And probably he's going to, if I go into this mode, let's see, and I make myself small and I penetrate. Okay, so around this area, right, if he puts his tongue into this area, it's going to start lowering F2, the second formant, so that's not going to help him. So he's going to try to get out of this area as much as possible. Now if we move up another third of the way in the vocal tract, so where I am right now, I'll make myself a bit bigger. So around where I am now, if he puts his tongue into this area, it's going to raise the second formant. So what he's going to want to do simultaneously is get the tongue out of here. That's area of interest number 4. And he wants to get the tongue into here. And that's area of interest number 5. And that's raising the second formant. Meanwhile, at the end of the vocal tract over here, area of interest number 2, he's going to lengthen. So he's going to push this out. And this gives him a little bit more favorable of a shape as far as, shall we say, impedance matching, as far as getting the sound out. It's not particularly opera. I'm going to have to, there's like a trigger warning here. He's not sounding anything like an operatic tenor that would ever get hired to sing this. It's kind of like imitation of opera singers using totally other means. But still, he does this because this is louder than just keeping your lips in, shall we say, a speech position for E. Another thing to note is that if you do this move that he's doing, so as he pushes the lips out, like that, remember that area of interest number 4 back here in the throat, right? And number 5, where they are moves when you adjust where areas number 2 and 3 are. Or when, in other words, whenever you make a change to area of interest number 1, you redistribute area of interest number 4 and number 5 1/3 and 2/3 of the way down the vocal tract, respectively. So remember also then that that's changing F2. It's changing F2 because it changes what the tongue is doing as in relation to areas of interest number 4 and number 5. So if you're looking on Vocal Tract Lab or something, you might be wondering, hey, why does this, I'm changing the length of the vocal tract. Why is it changing, why is it not changing F2 exactly the same way as it's changing F1? Why is like F1 seems to go up and F2 goes down maybe, or something like that? And this is why. It's because although the anatomical address of the tongue isn't changing, the acoustic address of the tongue is changing. Therefore, you're getting a different acoustic result. I hope that makes sense. But let's listen again. What happened to my face there?
All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò.
Oh, the camera died again. Well, that's helpful. The camera has problems and reminds me to put my commercials on. Yeah, so if you're looking for coachings and lessons and stuff, yeah, get in touch. You can record everything we do, and then you can make a channel and put up recordings of my teaching and criticize it. And then we can build like a pyramid that way. We can build a business together. You criticize me. I criticize Daniel Formica, maybe, or Tony Linke, someone bigger than me. And then you criticize me, and then find someone smaller than you to criticize you. And we can build something out of criticism. Anyway, so let's watch this again, and just watch the lips for the change to area of interest number 2, but then also subsequent change to area of interest number 1.
All'alba vincerò.
That was the one right there. That V.
Vincerò.
Whoops.
All'alba vincerò. All'alba vincerò.
I'll go right over where you're supposed to look. Look right over here. Watch, the lips are going to go hidden.
All'alba vincerò.
Right there where he's kissing me. So this is something I would avoid. If you were trying to figure out what Craig Sirianni was talking about yesterday with opera singing being unnatural, etc., it's this. It's that you would have to find some weird way to make the audience think you're saying E, and actually make it convincing and beautiful, etc., etc. And then there's all these patterns from speech that are going to try to interfere with you. So that's cool that you can see this on the MRI, and you can watch the areas of interest at work, I guess, and you can see how. So like this sound, you can play guess the sound, right? Now I know, and I'll use my head here. Okay, so with the tongue over here, constricting area of interest number 4, F2 is going to be lowered from there somewhat. And then here, this is area of interest number 5, and he's making room here. Right? So I think that's something like O. Like O. Maybe O. Let's see. I'll go back 2 seconds. And let's see.
All'alba vincerò.
Oh, it was A.
Vincerò.
It was.
All'alba vincerò.
Oh no, it was this O. It was this O. Right? Now you can predict this vowel from this shape. And if we go what these A's look like.
All'alba
Well, that's L. We can see L, of course.
vincerò.
There's the O.
All'alba
So that's the A.
vincerò.
That was
All'alba vincerò. Vincerò.
So I guess big difference between the A and the O is this, the way he's doing it is this constriction where I am right here, where I put my head there. Area of interest number 4. And if you're trying to find alternate vowels, because, maybe what Craig Sirianni gave you doesn't work, or what I gave you doesn't work, or whatever. This is how you would go looking for it. You find some definition of what you think the vowel needs as far as F1 and F2. you make some definition of maybe you want the larynx in a certain position, maybe you want the tongue in a certain position, maybe the mouth in a certain position, etc., etc. You look at which areas of interest are free, which ones are taken and not available, and you make a strategy from there. Anyway, so let's okay, so these were for Benedict. I don't know if Benedict is watching today. Maybe he's gonna watch the replay. Benedict, I think I should do some Manuel Garcia. If you come back, we're gonna watch your listening examples. We had some stuff for basses that I prepared. I even put titles on there. So we had Mikhail Svetlov. We have Cesare Siepi singing Ecco il Mondo. We have Lucas Meacham singing some stuff from Fedora. I had no idea that Fedora had other arias other than the tenor thing. So I think maybe we'll listen to those next time. Now let's get into maybe let's get into our Manuel Garcia. How do I do that again? I think I need to get rid of this. Oh, no. That's going to be psychology stuff. Yeah. The psychology stuff is coming. I'm going to do an intro to cognitive behavioral therapy. Now I'm going to see if my background music will behave. I don't know what I got right now. It's totally not behaving. I can't hear anything. Interesting. Yeah, total failure. At least the sidechain thing works. Takes it down when when I'm talking. But I had some. Anyway, it's shuffling. But I had this. Here we got Parsifal. Every time I make a video, I have to fight these people on some copyright stuff. Anyway. So, where were we in this hints on singing? There we go. 10. Yeah. We're almost done with this. Oh. Well, I'm just gonna put a mark here. This is where we left off. Okay. Now we're getting into The study of sustained tones. How are you guys? Not. Oh, yeah. I bet Tony, Link, and Juhei went off somewhere to go hang out. So you're not chatting anymore. Anyway. 18. Study of sustained tones. What kind of scale is to be used when studying single sounds? The chromatic scale, comprising the 3 registers, limited as follows. Chest register. This register which, in the 3 voices, contralto, mezzo-soprano, and soprano, starts at different points, must stop on the same note for all 3. If carried to its upper limit, it would injure the organ. Ooh. I mean, sounds kind of hot. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't be making comments here. Medium register. Yes, sorry. E4. I guess this is E4. Must stop at E4. Medium register. This register must begin on D for the 3 voices, or lower if possible. Okay. Head register. In this elementary study, the head notes must not be extended beyond D sharp for contraltos, F sharp for mezzo-sopranos, or A for sopranos. Men generally employ only the chest register, which in this study ought not to embrace more than a 12th. Okay? Those who would study in the falsetto will have to do it on the same notes as women, this register being, in men, the remainder of the voice of childhood. As for the head voice, with rare exceptions, very few notes are generally available, and these usually for tenors. So I guess we could talk about this. Let's see if anyone's... Oh, Benedict, that was you. Okay, well, it just says BSB 333. But welcome, Benedict, and welcome the rest of you. We'll do... tomorrow I'll do the... Well, I guess since you're here, let's look at some of the listening examples. But first, I guess talk a bit about what we found in section 18 is a lot of rehashing of these warnings about chest register, and how you'll wreck yourself if you don't check yourself before going too high with chest register. But interesting, he puts the end of chest register 1 note higher than the beginning of middle register. And then it also interesting that this is the same for wait. Tenors, he's got them going... Okay, and tenors, he's got them using only the chest register. So there you go. Maybe that's why, maybe a lot of this stuff from Garcia about the mouth position and stuff is really more aimed at sopranos than at the tenors. But he's famous more for the tenor guy, Dupre. Not that I've ever actually seen any kind of documentation of the whole Dupre thing having anything to do with Garcia. This guy who wrote this book. I mean, I don't know this stuff as facts. It's just this is what is said. And so it was said. It's like studying the Bible or something. But then he's got this. I'm still just really confused about what he thinks registers are. So for men, it's just all chest, all the way. For tenors, so those who would study in the falsetto, remember falsetto here is just middle. It's what's he explains in an earlier section that he used to say falsetto and now he says middle, and they're just the same thing. So he's saying that men who want to use the middle register, basically, I guess, who want to go above G, I don't get it. I don't understand why. So because before he gave the range for tenors going up to B flat, I think, and now he's got G as the upper range of chest, and you shouldn't cross that without, or you'll get hurt. And now, I mean, this is ridiculous. Garcia is kind of bullshitting here, I think, and he's just trying to make his model fit. Of that, that there should be these three things: chest, middle, or falsetto, and head, and he wants it all to work, and it doesn't. It just doesn't work. Anyway, why don't we look at something more fun to look at? I'm just gonna write down here that we ended here. What's today? 14/9/2023. We ended there. So next time we start with section 19, blending the registers. Maybe that will be interesting. But Benedict, since you're here, we're gonna watch the clips that you sent. What are you gonna say here? What's Tony trying to say here? Garcia was just trying to see how much bullshit he could fit into one book without people noticing. I think he was trying to see how much bullshit he could fit into a book with people noticing the book. Paying for the book per page. He was selling bullshit by the pound.
Singing in the air.
No, but it's interesting that the bullshit always comes with like some. It's never just bullshit. Anyway, it's interesting. So we've got this Mikhail Svetlov. We're gonna do. This is gonna be old school, new school. It's old school. Well, sort of. I think. I had to skip through kind of fast on this. Let's see. You guys tell me if the levels are alright. It's in the way of the chat, though. Tony's here. Maybe Tony. What do you hear, man? Do you hear? I don't think it's metallic, but I mean, it's really soft. The top note is metallic, I think. And it's... What's the pitch there? Can't use my keyboard because it's... I got my keyboard too... It's being used. So C4. I'm not sure you can start coupling at C4. So I don't think it's an example of harmonic coupling. But there's something you can do, I guess at B, that he's doing that some basses don't do. They get, I don't know how to put it, like they get more linear. They get more into like they're yelling. And then this guy's more, in the old days they would say he's more singing, more covered. Interesting for me is, okay, so the mouth, looks like the mouth shape gets bigger with the crescendo. Oh, it's also changing the timbre. So he's doing a cool thing on the sustain. He's like establishing a vowel. So you heard that vowel, and then he's sneaking in this other vowel that's gonna be louder. Check that out. It's just totally two different notes, and he's so slick about the change. He's like a lawyer with that. It's one more time. You could, if you were if you were saying this is an exercise, then someone would not question you. Yeah, anyway, another cool thing to notice is, and I wonder, I'm going to have to look at some bass friends or something, but I wonder if the larynx isn't coming up a bit and then the lips going out in a contrary, well, it's not a contrary motion, but the lips going out as much as the larynx is going up. What do we got here? Let's look at how much his mouth is moving. Oh, that's metallic as hell. Is that more in the overdrive direction, though, no? I think that's more in the overdrive direction. Upward drive. now we've got by the way, I can change these settings, you know, so that maybe I'll change the settings so that the chat is more is a little quicker, a little bit more snappy. Because for this reaction part, it would be nice if I could have less delay. I think you guys are like a minute behind me or something like that. Oh yeah. So okay, there is a little bit of clipping, but it's just very metallic. I'm curious to know from Tony, what you hear modes wise. For me, I don't know, when it's in this, I just think it's just keep it metallic, and keep it dense. But I know it's not curbing. I think more in the overdrive direction, but this is more in the direction of flexion, I guess, of not in towards the noble posture, but for a lot of these vowels, more like making a muscle, flexing, more, you know, this way, not this way, not, you know, not this nasty. Doesn't even have to be nasty to be an edge. I'm not sure if it's really overdrive or what, but I make a big distinction between if I'm sort of flexing with my spine and then canceling that out somehow to stay upright, or if I'm extending with my spine and then canceling that out to keep from getting my rib cage too extended, too forward, too protracted, shall we say. And this, I think, is more in the first way. My favorite model for switching between the two is of course Franco Corelli. But I think with basses, oh, he's still got a switch. That very top note that he didn't need to be big, he made it nasal, and that made it a lot easier, I think. So you hear there's this little run, or whatever, this little, not a run, but this little arpeggio. He's nasal on the top note because it is not necessary to be huge. It makes it a million times easier. He doesn't have to adjust so much. He doesn't have to once again reinitiate this big shape, fuller density, you know, on such a high pitch, which he's gonna be doing plenty. So here it's not necessary. It's not the biggest. It's not the biggest note of the phrase, even though it's higher. So let it be nasal. A lot of those pitches there are nasal. When I say nasal, I don't mean like it's. I don't mean that it sounds like this, although it's slightly. I just mean that the velum is open. Yeah, I hear more overdrive, but I see it also is the shape more. Now this is more edge, I think. Satana. More edge. And you see this kind of. If you leave it more close, ta. Tana. Tana. Kind of thing. No, more in that direction now. So you see, he's alternating between the two. I consider these like the. Even without a lot of sound, they're sort of these diametric opposites, I guess, or not. No, it's sort of, you've got this up, and you've got down, both of them incidentally shorten, shortens the vocal tract, and also shortens the vocal tract. So they both make this similar effect. Both make the vocal tract, the end of the vocal tract bigger. But one I think leads more towards the overdrive direction. And the other one, more towards the edge direction. Could be wrong, but I'm not. Let's watch some. That's overdrive more. Edge. It's kind of ambiguous to me. Yeah, interesting there. Really cool selection there, Benedict. Thanks for that suggestion. And then now we're gonna where's my TIO? Where's my This Is Opera guys? To get you guys need to come get triggered because I'm having a modern baritone, modern bass. Is it bass, baritone? Oh, what happened? Okay. Right, so this is Lucas Meacham singing some stuff I've never listened to before. So I think he's in a similar direction as CAP, but I hear that the closed quotient is not as high, and possibly less density. But that to me is the biggest things there. But the vocal mode choice for a lot of this I think is the same, and you also see the more kind of downward positions and not a lot of this Not a lot of this lifting of the cheeks that's gonna go with, but people might think like singers are just doing weird things with their faces, but if you go into Vocal Tract Lab and you make changes to the end of the vocal tract, you'll notice not only does the formats change, but if you're tracking the number that's measuring the length of the vocal tract, which is the one, remember, that determines where the areas of interest are located, and not just for the first and second formant, well, for the second formant that we're interested in, but all of the higher formants all have their, if you looked at those areas of interest, it wouldn't be helpful to look at it because it's so complex, so complicated. But these changes to the end of the vocal tract make huge changes to the resonance and to the vowel that you get, because they actually change the length, because they change what is the shortest path from the larynx to the end of the vocal tract, therefore changing the length of the vocal tract from the point of view of a sound wave. I don't think he gets as much metal as Siepi did, and maybe that's responsible for the. He's not using. if he's using a metallic sound, he's not in the edge direction. And maybe if he were mixing in some edge vowels here and there, that would already be a higher close quotient. I don't know. That's, as far as I know, that's why edge doesn't have a knee, is because the close quotient is so high you can't see it. Overdrive doesn't have to have as high of a closed quotient, and so there's a weird pattern in the wave that has this thing called a knee. Yeah. Anyway, that's for the Ingo Titze to study before he comes and tells you to sing into a freaking string. She is the embodiment of her sex. Yes. Alright, well, I mean, am I looking for anything particular here? I don't. So far, I mean, there's nothing. Is there some big high note or something we could?